What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Jared Bless comes to you guys with another video, man. Hey, we're gonna do the immediate reaction to UFC 280. Make sure you guys leave a like, drop a comment, what you guys thought about the whole entire card. Subscribe to the channel if you're a new viewer, and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss another upload or stream once we start doing them. Also, guys, follow me on Twitter, man. The link is down below in the description at RealJRranks. So let's get straight into the video. So first fight we're going to get into is Rosa versus Lena Lansberg. So honestly, guys, that fight went exactly how I thought it would go. Lena Lansberg is not a great grappler at all. She pretty much just accepted being on her back. The fight did get a little bit scary because Rosa did land an illegal knee. And, you know, that allowed her to get a point taken away, which kind of made it a little bit weird. You didn't know how the fight was going to go, but pretty much Rosa did enough to Lena Lansberg. She had enough control time, enough takedowns to secure the victory in that fight. So that's pretty much how that fight went. There was pretty much no resistance from Lena Lansberg. The next fight we had Makachev versus Malcolm Gordon. And honestly, in this fight, the one takeaway that I had from this fight is that Makachev definitely underestimated Malcolm Gordon. He had him in some weird positions at certain times. Malcolm Gordon did land a reversal, but Makachev was relentless with the takedowns. Even when he got reversed, he found a way to get back to his feet, get the takedowns going in. The striking of Makachev can definitely get better. It seemed like he was just more so going for flashy strikes more than anything. And, you know, Malcolm Gordon was able to have a little bit of success at the end of one of the rounds with the back mount, almost locked in a rear naked choke. But in the end, Makachev did get the armbar finish. Malcolm Gordon just pretty much put himself in a really bad position by trying to get up while Makachev was on bottom and had a pretty decent position to lock in the armbar. So that's how the fight ended for Makachev. The odds of him being at 1150 was wild. You know, I got him at minus 650, which is way better than that. You get more money for that play, but I mean, 1150. I mean, he did get the finish in the end, so I guess it did make sense. The next fight was Petrosyan versus AJ Dobson, and I thought I stood away from this fight. I mean, I did pick Petrosyan to win that fight. So far we're 3-0 on our predictions. That fight was pretty much a striking battle that Petrosyan obviously clearly won, which is what I thought. Betting wise, I stood away from the fight because I was scared that AJ Dobson might try to utilize some wrestling. But as I kind of thought, his knee is still just not. I don't even think he used his right leg at all. I don't think he threw a leg kick from his right side or anything, or from the orthodox stance. I don't think he did it at all. So yeah, that fight just was a mostly striking fight in which AJ Dobson was definitely going to lose. His only chance was to get some takedowns. I think he did land a few takedowns, but did really nothing with it and didn't really try to go towards, like, go for the wrestling exchanges. So yeah, definitely anybody with common sense knew AJ Dobson was going to lose that fight. So Petrosyan ended up winning that fight. Unanimous decision. The next fight was Abubakar Nurmagomedov versus Omar Godzaev. And honestly, that fight pretty much, I would say that Nurmagomedov dominated that fight. The striking was just on his side. The wrestling exchanges were on his side. And that's pretty much just how the fight went. Godzaev needs to work on his cardio. His cardio is really bad. I mean, it ended up giving up on him pretty much in the second round. But yeah, the striking exchanges pretty much went to Abubakar's way. The wrestling exchanges went his way. He was pretty much able to control him, land better strikes, more damage strikes, better wrestling, and ultimately just won the unanimous decision. He also put more damage on Godzi. So that was just a great fight for Abubakar and Nurmagomedov. So we ended up being 4-0. So on to the next fight, we had Volkan Oezdemir versus Nikita Krylov. And honestly, guys, I picked Volkan to lose this fight. So at this point, we're sitting at 4-1 so far for the predictions that I had made in a video earlier, or the previous video. And pretty much how that fight went, Volkan came out strong and fast. He hurt Nikita Krylov in the first couple of exchanges, but Nikita Krylov was able to weather the storm and pretty much just land a bunch of takedowns and dominate in the takedowns. He was also using his striking to push Volkan Oezdemir to the back of the cage, which pretty much from that point on opened up his wrestling, and he was able to just land about 7 takedowns, control the fight, and pretty much win a unanimous decision. What was frustrating for me is that Volkan Oezdemir has an 86% takedown defense. Nobody really could take him down consistently like that. Daniel Cormier took him down a few times, but I mean, the better the wrestler, the less takedowns they'll need. So for an example, if Khabib Nurmagomedov gets a takedown, he's probably not going to get more than 3 or 4, because when he gets a takedown, he's able to control the fight. So I didn't really see Nikita Krylov being able to take down Volkan Oezdemir so many times, but he did just that. And have the exact stats right here. He took him down exactly 7 times, and he had 20 takedown attempts. So it was really, really crazy how that fight ended up playing out. But nonetheless, we lost on that fight, so it is what it is. On to the next fight. We had Kyle Barriault versus Makhachev Muradov. And same thing. Kyle Barriault pretty much, controlled the wrestling exchange and just was able to win the fight. Not too much control time, but he definitely did enough to win the fight. I remember Muradov did land a damaging strike on the feet, but pretty much there just wasn't enough output for him to do anything to win that fight. It pretty much was going to go the way of Kyle Barriault the whole entire time. So at that point, 5-1, we picked Kyle Barriault to win that fight. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just simply watch my previous video where I did the UFC 280 final predictions. So yeah, at that point, we're sitting at 5-1. On to the next fight, the final fight of the prelims. We have Belal Muhammad versus Sean Brady. And this fight was actually very shocking to me. I thought that Sean Brady was a better striker on the feet. And it was going to be a mostly stand-up fight because they're wrestling and would cancel each other out. If you guys ever want to wonder about two wrestlers going against each other, two high-level wrestlers going against each other, always go back to Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington 1. That fight ended up being a crazy fight because, the wrestling just canceled each other out. Now, Sean Brady did shoot for a couple of takedowns, but he was unsuccessful. Belal Muhammad has a takedown defense of a 91%, so that was just unlikely. And in the end, Belal Muhammad's pressure and striking ended up being too much for Sean Brady, who ended up getting finished on his feet, which was the last thing anybody expected. I didn't expect that. I even called it in the breakdown. Belal Muhammad only had 4 finishes, 1 sub, and 16 decisions. So him getting a finish was very low likely, but it's fighting. Anything can happen. Even Sean Brady himself obviously didn't expect Belal Muhammad to get a finish. He said, this guy's not a finisher, and he got finished. Whenever a guy says that, though, it always creeps in the back of my mind that maybe there's a chance that a finish could happen whenever a guy says, hey, this guy can't finish me. He's not a finisher. And that exactly happened. So at that point, 5-2, we went 5-2 on the prelims. Not that bad. And I could see why the fights went the other way for me in terms of Belal Muhammad and Nikita Krylov getting the wins instead of Sean Brady and Volkan Oezdemir. So from there, we go on to the main card. We go into the main card, Manon Fiorot versus Chookagian. And this fight was just a full striking battle for the first 2 rounds. And honestly, I was kind of worried that Manon Fiorot wasn't going to be able to close the distance. But as the fight went on, she was able to close the distance, get some strikes landed. And in the 3rd round, she was also able to land a takedown that pretty much secured the fight for her. It was underwhelming. It wasn't like a very entertaining fight, but Manon Fiorot did enough what she needed to do to win. And Chookagian did miss weight. So I kind of expected her more so to lose the fight even more then. Maybe if she would have made weight, she would have had a little bit of a better chance. But I had Manon Fiorot winning that fight. So we move on to 6-2. Next fight we had was Beneil Dariush versus Mateusz Gamrot. And honestly, the one thing I can say about this fight is that I thought that Arman Tsarukyan beat Mateusz Gamrot in their last fight. I watched all 5 rounds of that fight. Crazy fight. And I thought that Arman Tsarukyan did enough to win that fight to beat Mateusz Gamrot. So me picking Mateusz Gamrot and him losing to Beneil Dariush today, it doesn't make me mad because it makes sense in terms of what my breakdown was of Mateusz Gamrot losing his last fight. It caused me to underestimate Beneil Dariush and how good he really actually is. And he defended about, from what I can remember, it was about 13 or 16 takedowns. Maybe Mateusz Gamrot went for more. But yeah, so Mateusz Gamrot was 4-19 on takedowns. And Beneil Dariush's takedown defense was very, very good. His counter striking was very... Beneil Dariush looked like a world champion tonight. Like, I'm not even joking around with you guys. Beneil Dariush is a serious, serious problem, man. That type of performance you put up against a guy like Mateusz Gamrot, who had a lot of hype behind him, for Beneil Dariush to have that type of performance with the counter striking, even dropping Mateusz Gamrot, holding his own on the ground, man, I'm telling you right now, for sure, I'll tell you guys who Beneil Dariush's next fight is going to be as we go into the further predictions. But at that point, we ended up being about what, 6-3. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, at that point we were 6-3. We got that fight wrong with Beneil Dariush versus Gamrot. So 6-3. On to the next fight, Sean O'Malley versus Petrosyan. And I know you guys probably seen the video I made about the prediction that Sean O'Malley was going to win the fight, and he ended up winning the fight. And I know some people are going to, a lot of people are going to say that he didn't win the fight, and I get it, I understand. But breaking down how that fight went, in the video and even in my comment section, I pinned it in the Sean O'Malley versus Petrosyan video. I said that if Petrosyan doesn't go for takedowns, he will lose this fight. He was able to get some takedowns. He was able to land some damaging shots of his own. But in the end, Sean O'Malley did land more significant strikes, and he did damage Petrosyan badly. Nobody does it to Petrosyan, and it pretty much proves what I've been saying. Petrosyan has not fought anybody on a on a high level of competition. Now, to be fair, Corey Sandhagen was a good win, but Corey Sandhagen was coming off of a loss, and this time I'll give Petrosyan some type of credit because I mean Sean O'Malley was coming off of a no contest fight, but he was gonna beat Pedro Munoz no matter what anybody else says. So yeah, this proves what I was saying, guys. Petrosyan has not fought anybody that you can sit there and say, oh my god, like he really earned his way to the title. Like he beat up John Dodson at ranked number 9 at the time on a decline. He beat Jimmy Rivera on a decline. He beat a 40-year-old Uriah Faber who hadn't fought in a ranked bantamweight fight in years, knocked him out. Then he beat a Jose Aldo that did not deserve the title shot at the time. And then he went up against Aljo where he was winning the fight, but Aljo did prove in the second fight that he did just have a bad night by, he ended up beating Petrosyan. So Petrosyan is a good fighter, but he's still young, guys. He's only 29 years old. I think people are underestimating or kind of overlooking the fact that he's only going to get better as time goes on. So as he gets these fights under his belt, he can 100% become a champion again. I'm not taking that away from Petrosyan, but I just thought that Sean O'Malley, the matchup just wasn't good. Like I said, Petrosyan was able to land some damage and strikes. So was Sean O'Malley. He opened up Petrosyan very badly. No one has put damage on Petrosyan like that. And in the end, the judges gave the fight to Petrosyan or to Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley, he landed 84 significant strikes, while Petrosyan only landed 58. Sean O'Malley had 68 strikes landed to the head. And pretty much from there, Petrosyan just had 6 takedowns, 5 minutes of ground control, and he had more total strikes. So you guys got to understand, like, this is what happens with the judging. For an example, I'll give you guys an example of a fight that comes to mind. Lucas Brzezinski versus Martin Boudet. If you guys don't know who that is, just go look him up. I watched that fight, and Lucas Brzezinski did enough to win the fight, I thought. But Martin Boudet just landed the more damage and strikes, and they ended up giving him the fight. So that's how judging goes, guys. At this point, it's out of control. I'm agreeing with everybody. People have got robbed. I thought Max Holloway got robbed in his second fight versus Volkanovski. But this is how it is, guys. Until the judges and MMA rules end up being set for one set thing only. Some nights you'll have judges that care about ground control time. Other nights you have judges that care about significant strikes. So it's pretty much all over the place. So until they get it in order, this is what's going to keep happening, guys. And that's just how it went. So Sean O'Malley gets a nod. He's now the #1 contender at bantamweight, and he's pretty much next up in line for a title shot. So moving on to the co-main event, we had TJ Dillashaw versus Aljamain Sterling. And obviously, if you guys saw my video, I had TJ winning that fight very easily. But as you guys know how the fight ended up playing out, TJ Dillashaw had a pulled out shoulder. He told Mark Goddard about it in the locker room. He wanted to tell DC about it. So this was something that was known. He had a blown out shoulder. Obviously, us, the fans, everybody else did not know. But TJ himself knew that. And he's a tough guy, man. People want to take it away from him because of the mishaps he had at flyweight trying to, take EPO. But he's a dog, man. He beat Corey Sandhagen with one eye and one leg. And he survived the whole round versus Aljamain Sterling with one round when Aljo had some pretty dominant positions. And it's not taking anything away from Aljo. He did his job. It was kind of not smart for TJ Dillashaw to go into the fight with a blown out shoulder, with a shoulder that kept on popping out, dislocated out. It was not smart. He just had no chance to win the fight, man. Like, you just can't win a fight versus a guy like Aljo with one arm. Like, you're gonna have to wrestle with him. If you can't wrestle with him, if you can't deny takedowns, you're done. So that's pretty much how the fight went. TJ had pretty much zero offense. He just pretty much survived the first round and ultimately was finished in the second round on the ground. But Aljo's starting to really make a name for him. Like, he's really starting to scratch that bantamweight GOAT status. He has the longest streak in bantamweight history at 8. And he's had 2 title defenses. So next up, I don't know who's going to be for Aljo. Maybe it should be Sean O'Malley, but I think Aljo's going to be favored in that match because Sean O'Malley, if he gets taken out by Aljo, it's just not going to be a good night for him, man. It's really not going to be a good night for him. Maybe they might give that title shot to Henry Cejudo. Maybe they might give the title shot to Chito Marlon Vera. I don't have an issue with any of those. But at some point, something's going to have to happen with Muradov Dvalishvili. Something's going to have to happen with Muradov. So if Aljo wants to, defend or vacate, I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it. I think that they're going to get the next shot to Sean O'Malley. They're not going to run the fight back with him and Petrosyan. It's just not going to happen. So just get that out your heads. We can say the judges robbed. There's been a lot of robberies in recent history, man. I still think to this day that Max Holloway was robbed versus Volkanovski in the second fight, but it is what it is. On to the main event, we had Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev, and right away, I can say that Charles Oliveira made a serious mistake in the fight. In the very first round, he pulled guard and pretty much just accepted being taken down by Islam. And from there, Islam was pretty much able to, you know, do his work on the ground. He stunned Charles Oliveira very badly in the first round, and not very badly, but he did stun him, and pretty much was able to get ground control time. And that's pretty much how the fight went. You know, Charles tried to work his jiu-jitsu, but it's just different when a guy like Islam is on top. I didn't think that Charles Oliveira would be so, like, I'm not gonna say dumb, but I didn't think that he would just be so willing to just accept having Islam Makhachev on top of you. Like, it's one thing if you get put there, but to go down into a guard, serious mistake. I think the fight would be a little bit different had he not done that. But obviously in the second round, Charles Oliveira went for a front kick. Islam came over the top with a right hook, pretty much dropped Charles Oliveira. And the difference between Islam with all the rest of the guys, where it's, I think Dustin Poirier, I know I got the Dustin Poirier hoodie on right now, but I think he's probably biting, I think he's probably like kicking himself right now, because when he dropped Charles, like, Dustin Poirier is good on the ground. I'm not to say that he's better than Charles on the ground, but he does have a submission game to where he could have tried to lock up some type of submission on Charles. You know, it would have been just obviously very dangerous. But yeah, ultimately Islam dropped him and he jumped on him. Like, compared to the other guys that didn't want to do it, like Dustin and Justin, they didn't want to jump on top, and, you know, Islam did it, jumped on top, got the arm triangle, pretty much was able to get out of full mount and get into side control with the arm triangle, and Charles Oliveira pretty much instantly tapped, which shows the amount of pressure that Islam has on top. And Islam is a beast, man. Like, Islam is a beast. I definitely underestimated him. Not to say that I don't know. Yeah, I'll be honest with y'all. I underestimated Islam, and you know, paid the price for it, man. He showed that he's a problem, man. Obviously, Volkanovski came into the ring, or into the octagon, and that fight's gonna be next. They said they want to do it in Australia, in Volkanovski's backyard, to see who's gonna be #1 pound for pound. Obviously, Charles Oliveira was ranked either #3 or #4 in the pound for pound rankings, so Islam should take that spot. And Volkanovski is #1, so obviously that will be a humongous fight to see who's the #1 pound for pound in the world. If Islam beats Volkanovski, he's obviously #1 pound for pound. Like, it's the Islam Makhachev era has begun. I don't know when he's gonna move up to welterweight. I don't know exactly what he's gonna choose to do, but hey, man, he's gonna be a problem, man. Obviously, I think they're gonna do Charles Oliveira versus Dariyush. They should do it in Brazil. I think that January card, somewhere around there, the Brazil card. They should do Charles Oliveira versus Dariyush. That's gonna be a insane fight. But guys, that pretty much does it for the UFC 280 card. That's my instant reaction to the card, guys. Hey, listen, man, you can't win them all, guys. You can't win them all. In the end, we end up going, let's see how much we had that loss. So in the end, guys, we end up going 7-5. Not that great, but you can't win them all, guys. Just understand that you can't win them all. But hey, man, look, if you guys enjoyed this video and you guys want to see more videos like this, be sure to drop a like. Make sure you guys drop your comments on what you guys think about UFC 280, just your initial reaction, anything. We can talk about anything in the comment section. Let's get the comment section super lit. Follow me on Twitter. The link is down below in the description, @RealJaRanks. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you guys can be notified whenever I upload and stream. And who you guys think is gonna win between Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev? Let me know what you guys think, man. But that's pretty much it. It's your boy JR Bless, and I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Peace.